everybody, thanks for being here. I got my Wicked Brew Softflex Design Challenge Kit in the mail. It came kind of late yesterday and these beads have got me up really early this morning. I'm absolutely loving this. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing in the two Jesse James bead mixes, but they're called Wicked Brew, and I have kind of an annual tradition with my son of watching The Wizard of Oz, and we just watched it a couple of nights ago. So I see Glinda, the Good Witch of the East, and the Wicked Witch of the West here with the pink and silver and the black and green. It's so cool. This is one of the best boxes they've ever done. Full disclosure, I have going to make 3 projects today. As I was setting up to show you guys the contents, I had to stop and already did my earrings and my bracelet components and another really cool little thing. So let me show you what's in here really quickly. In this dish here, we have some yellow turquoise beads. We have a ton of these check glass pink opal petals. I have a plan for those. These have let me grab a little piece of wire. These have a hole at the top. So clustering these in a design, like you can either put like a jump ring through the top and cluster them that way, or string them right onto something. But it's my favorite color, this pink opal. It's a blushing pink and it has a little opalescent quality, so it's not opaque, but you do see it kind of variegated a tiny bit. It's so beautiful. One of my favorite things in the box. And then there are some check glass spikes in here. They're such a pretty color. They're this pretty green, but it's not a solid green, and it has a little, some kind of like a Picasso finish on it. They're in my project, one of my projects, and I was nuts about getting these pink Ginko leaf beads, and I just quickly designed a little component with those, and I'll show you. It's a 5-minute bead weaving project, and I'll show you what we're going to do with those, a couple of things. And then there are these adorable, I don't know where they find their teeny tiny black cats, and they have so much detail for being so tiny. I mean, look at this. It's the size of the tip of my finger, but you can see the whiskers, the little pink nose, the eyes, the inside of the ears. I mean, these little ceramic beads, look at the little tail curled around the back, and there are 2 of them. So won't those make absolutely adorable earrings? I'm crazy for those. I have a little gray cat, so I just love those. Another cool thing is we got a full spool of my favorite bead stringing wire. It's the 49 strand medium Softflex, and it's in the black onyx color, and I did not have this color in my stash. I really thought that I had every single color of the Softflex wire, but I didn't have black onyx. And then I am dying over this. This is going in one of my projects. Look at this little charm. I mean, it's supposed to be a little witch's hat because it's called Witch's Brew, but with this, I think what I'm going to do with mine is make like a little fairy godmother out of this little hat. This could also be like, little munchkins or really anything with this cute little hat, but it's going in one of my projects. And then look at this little charm. It's a little magic wand. Isn't it so sweet? I just love it. And then we got a silver lobster claw. We got my favorite crimp tubes. To me, the Softflex number 2 crimp tubes are the best on the market. They have a really thick inner wall. So if you like the magical crimping plier, you get very good results with that. We got some little silver plated ear wires, and I showed you the 2 mixes. We're gonna play in these, but of course this is my favorite. I love these little pink rice beads and the crystals and the faceting in this, and just the mix. And there's a lot of crystal rondelle spacers in here in silver, and some little Hishi disc silver spacers. And then in the green mix, I love these oval black faceted beads, and I love these little frosted glass beads, but these are my favorite. There are 3 ceramic beads in these cylindrical cubes, like elongated cubes, and I just love them. I also am crazy about this little crystal square bead. And so I've started my bracelet. I'll show you really quickly. I'm going to be making a little component bracelet. It's one of my specialties, I guess. And I'm going to make these with needle and thread, and I still haven't totally decided my pattern. I've also pulled from all the beads, and I brought in some seed beads from my own stash and made my own ear wires and this really fun little earrings. So these are my seed beads that I brought in from my stash. I do have some 15-0s in here, and when we get to the component, I'll show you why those were necessary. And I just brought in some pink and green and gold because I love gold, so I'm going to mix it in with this. And then I don't want to forget the strand of hematite hearts. Aren't they gorgeous? They're so pretty. We got so many of them. Just absolutely beautiful. And let's see, the teeny tiny black cats. I want to make sure I did not miss anything. The bead stringing wire, 2 Jesse James custom bead mixes. This box is so good. The Ginko leaf, pink Ginko leaf beads totally excite me this month. I was quite inspired because, as I said, 3 projects with this. Oh, and I'm going to clean up and, make some space on the mat, but I have to show you guys. I also did my Softflex order because I replenished my 49 strand. In today's project, I'll be using the Softflex craft wire in a couple of the projects. I use the 22 gauge and the 20 gauge, and you can work harden this by just using a rubber mallet on your bench block and make your own jump rings, your own ear wires. So I placed an order for that, but they have the most gorgeous things on their website. Look at these. They were on a closeout. It is a fossil pink agate. I just love that each one of these is like, it's like a little color story, a little work of art. And I wish you could feel how cool they are and how smooth and how weighty. I don't even have a project in mind, but I love these. Maybe even a bracelet, maybe, I don't know yet, but I just had to show you guys that. So when you go on the Softflex website, don't forget to look at all the things because you can find some real treasures there. Okay, let me move some things out of the way. Just be a second for you. Okay, doesn't that look strange? That is, believe it or not, that's a little leg. So I'm going to show you what I have started here. I'm going to make a little person, a little fairy godmother or a garden fairy, and I'm going to be using that goes there. I'm going to be using some of my 22 gauge Softflex wire for the arms and legs. So I'll show you how I did this little leg. So I have one done. And the reason I'm going to do this first is because this little charm does not have a hole that goes up the middle. So for my project, I'm going to have to do some gluing, and I need the glue to set up, and then a jump ring will go through here. I've also mixed in some gold Aurora Borealis crystal rondelle spacers. You can totally use the silver ones in the box, but I wanted to mix in some gold because it's my favorite metallic. So I have taken a piece of 20 gauge wire and put a simple loop at the top. I have one of the crystals from the Wicked Brew mix for the head, and then a crystal rondelle spacer. And then her arms are a piece of 22 gauge wire that I have just made a tiny little loop around my 20 gauge wire with the 22 gauge wire, and I've strung on some seed beads and put a little simple loop at the end, and I'll show you how I did that on this side. And then this little crystal is perfect for her body, and then I'm going to dangle her legs from there. So let me how do I want to do this? Because I have to glue this little hat over that top simple loop, but I think so that can set up, I think I'm going to go ahead and finish my stringing first on here. So let me take this crystal off and bring in my little seed bead tray. And I did this last night before I went to bed, so I did 3 green, and let me count and see what I did for her arms. 9. Okay, so I'm just going to put 9 pink seed beads and 3 green. So I made that little loop right in the middle of my 20 gauge wire so that it can feed on, and so it looks funny, but I'm going to do a simple loop right here at the end of this arm. So just get in here. It's small, but I'm going to do a small simple loop. Just give that a bend and then get my round nose pliers in here, just down close to the tip. I want to be able to attach her wand to one of her hands, so I don't want it to be too small. I'm just going to rotate that plier and bring that around. So my loop is perfect. It's nice and round and pretty. And then I'm just going to come right in here where the two wires meet and snip. So it looks like that, and then I'll just close it and work harden it. So her little arms are done, and I'm going to wire wrap the loop on the bottom of her. And I'm just going to do that just to make sure her body and her arms are tight. So it looks like that, and I can position the arms after I'm done. And I'm going to just come right here. And do I want another crystal rondelle spacer before I wrap it? Let me look. No, I don't like it. I like just the one around her neck. So I'm going to do a wrapped loop here. So a 90-degree bend. And the reason I'm doing the wrapped loop, I'll show you as I get down to my beads. I'm going to do a little bit larger loop here. So I'm going to bring this wire over the top barrel of my pliers, rotate my pliers, bring this wire around, and I'm getting like a really, really nice loop in there. And then I'm going to hold it with my bent chain nose pliers, and I'm going to wrap, and when I get down to the bead, I'm going to snuggle one wrap right beneath the previous, and when I get to the bead, I'm just going to be able to secure everything facing forward and so that it's not wiggly. You know, a wire wrapped loop allows you to do that, so you can like secure things where you want it. A simple loop is going to keep things moving. And what I'm also going to do, can you see how I'm wrapping? Once I've met my bead, I'm making almost like a bead cap. I'm just wrapping, just placing my next wrap on the bead and hugging the previous wrap instead of tucking it under. So it looks a little bit like an embellishment. And I'm going to get in here. It's a little short for me to do it with my fingers. Let me get another pair of pliers and just get a final wrap here. And now I'll trim. Now I can straighten everything up and kind of position her little arms. So my little girl looks like that. And now I'm going to bring in some E6000 glue. And this is never going to be seen again. I want to put a nice dollop just on my loop and where it's touching the top of the bead. E6000 takes about 30 minutes to set up. So I'm going to just put her little hat on like that and get a scrap piece of wire to clean up. It dries clear and rubbery. Come on, wire, I can't get it on my hand. It dries clear and rubbery, so you can always pull away strands after it's dry if you see, areas that you needed to pull some of the glue off. Put a little bit too much, but it dries clear. But I'm going to clean some of this off. Okay, she's ready for her legs. So I did a simple loop on the legs, so I can open this loop and add it to that wrapped loop. And so for her little leg, I just came to one end and made a little spiral that's kind of sideways, so that's going to be her shoe. So just get a little tight spiral in there. And very small. And I'm just going to grab the wire where I stopped spiraling and just direction it straight up. And so that's the start of her little leg. And then I did 2 of each to make like little striped stockings. So I started with 2 pink. I did 2 pink, 2 green, 2 pink, and finished on a green. So her little leg looks like that, and now I'm going to grab my spiral and I'm just going to give this a little bend and put a really small simple loop in the top, just like I have been doing. Attach it. And I'm going to give her little legs like some bends so they're not stick straight. She looks so cute. And another thing that I didn't do it on this one, but sometimes a bead cap, like a cone bead cap, like hanging down this way makes a really cute like a skirt. I love to do beaded people, and I've done like hundreds of versions of them, but the elements in this kit were just perfect for this. And now she's going to get a gold jump ring, a really small gold jump ring. Let's see if I have one made. I make these. Let me see if I have a tiny one in here. Okay, my little witchy fairy garden, whatever you want her to be, she is done, and I think she's so cute. And then I'll be able to put a gold jump ring through here and make a pendant out of her, or a bookmarker, or anything. What I'm thinking is, I love to make these, pardon me while I reach behind you, I love to make these little charms for my hand lotions. I just punch a hole in the top and put some of my favorite beads and floofies on a lobster claw clasp, and I have these on my tote bag, on my craft cart behind me, on my suitcase. They're hanging on all my travel things, on my tote bag that I take to my Bead Society meeting every month. And I'm due to change this out, and I was thinking how cute she would be hanging on the front of one of my hand lotions for the season. So I'm probably going to use her for a hand lotion charm, but we'll let her hat sit here and dry, and we're going to jump into the earrings now. So I have a number 10 beading needle, and I have to show you guys this. I recently found these. They are called color eyes. I don't know about you, but when I take my beading needles off, I can no longer tell when I take them out of these packages, and they're not even in order usually in the package, but with these I know that the black eye is a number 10, the turquoise is a number 11, and the red is a number 12. Bella, my cat is just talking away. She sees things on the patio when the sun hasn't come up yet. But I absolutely love these because sometimes you really do need a number 12, the smallest size, in order to go through how many passes you need to go through something. But I just love those, and I found them, so I'll link them for you guys. And then I have my needle threaded with some beige 10-pound Beadalon Wildfire. It's my new favorite bead stringing material because this beige color just disappears, like you don't see it at all when you've created a component. And so I've already done what I think that I'm going to need for my bracelet. And so I'm going to show you how I took this and went a little bit further to create the earring. So I'll show you, and then we're going to connect the bracelet. And I have to say, I did not put a stop bead on here. I just held this in my hand. It's such a small little component. So I'm going to start with one of the Ginko beads, and I want my needle to go up through the hole in the curve, and the reason for that is that's where my tail thread will be. And so when I tie off, my tail thread hides in the middle of the component so that you don't see it at all. So I'm going to bring it through and then go back down through, so this thread is going to just hug the outside. If you are not a bead weaver and you don't do needle and thread things, I hope you'll give this a try because it's so easy. So I want to pull my tail thread, and again, you could put a stop bead here if you want to, but this is so easy and small in my hand. I didn't bother with that, but I just want to leave enough tail that I can comfortably tie a knot, tie off when I come back around. And then I'm going to pick up a gold seed bead, and then I'm going to pick up another Ginko, and again, I want my needle to be going from, I get one with a blocked hole. You also want to make sure that all your holes are clear. Yeah, that one's clear. That one's clear. I want to go up, always up through the, I don't know how to call this, but where the curve is near the point. I want my needle to be going up every time that I add in a bead. So I'm going to hold this in my hand just the way that I did. So everything's wobbly at first, but it tightens up. So just like that. And then I'm going to go back down. So I'm in position to pick up my next seed bead. And these are 11-0 Toho seed beads that I just had in my stash. And then I'll show you why I felt that I needed the 15-0s. The green here are 15-0s. But pick up another bead. And then I'm going to pick up my third Ginko, and again going up from the inner curve to the arch at the top of the Ginko leaf. Does that make any sense at all? And just let it lay in there, and then I'm going to go down that next hole. I always put my thumb over my work. It keeps everything so that you can see it. Pick up another Toho 11-0, and then pick up my last Ginko, and again making sure that my needle is going up. Let him fall into place and go back down. Put my thumb over my work. Pick up another Toho. Now I'm going to go back over to the next Ginko and come out on the outer edge of this component to connect them. And now we add further embellishment and reinforce. I don't want to get my tail thread caught. Bella, what is it? When she sees something on the patio or through the window that she wants to get. She is very noisy. Okay. What, honey? You're just walking around just talking? Okay, so I'm looking like that now. My thread is coming out the top of one of my Ginko beads, and now I'm going to pick up 3 11/0 golds on my needle, and I'm going to put my needle back down through that bead that I'm coming out of. And when I pull, those 3 cover up my thread and they embellish. And then I'm just going to weave my way through the next 11/0 and out to the top of the next Ginko leaf and do that 4 more times. 3 beads. I have gotten my little self tangled up here. There we go. So just like that. And it's already starting to tighten up a little bit. And then I'm going to pick up 3 more. And then go down this leaf. And sometimes in one pass, you can also come out, especially while it's still loose, you can come out the next inner seed bead. Sometimes not. Either way, it's fine. Pull those into place, give my tail thread a little tug, and then I'm going to come up to the top and add in 3 more gold tohos. Get that tail thread out of the way so it doesn't get caught. And then go down again and through the inner seed bead, the inner toho, and pull. And then I need to come back to the top of the next Ginko. Okay, this is my last 3 beads that I add in, and from here I'm just going to go all the way around, just sew through everything one more time as a reinforcement, get back to my tail thread and tie off. So let those 3 go into place, go back down through the Ginko, coming out my inner seed bead, and from here, like, I'm already met up with my tail thread, so I can go ahead and tie a knot here, and this will make this nice and secure. Tie a double overhand knot here and then do my reinforcing and then tie off again. And the reason I'm saying that is for the components, a jump ring is going to go through there, and it, you know, it may get a little tugging because this is going to be a bracelet, so you want it to be nice and secure and not like find its way wiggled loose after it's been worn a little bit. So now I've tied off and my thread is right here, and I'm just going to continue around, going up the next Ginko through my 3 top seed beads, down the Ginko bead, through everything again, basically. Get my needle in this seed bead and up the Ginko. If you can do it all in one pass, that's fine. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I'm at the top. I'm just running my needle through everything again to reinforce. Okay, so I have come back around to where my tail thread is. And if this were one of my bracelet components, I would tie off again and be done with the component. But I'm gonna, so this, if you wanted to make a whole bunch of these, look how pretty they are connected together. I actually love them with the green in between, so I'm gonna play with some of these green beads in between my components that I made. I just love that color combination, and I love the shapes and the textures. It's so pretty. So I am going to be playing with how I want to finish connecting my bracelet. I just made a few components with the beads from the mix, but I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. But we'll do the earring and then we'll play with that together. So from here, since this is going to go into an earring and I'm coming out here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my tail thread, not to, being careful not to, singe my working thread. Just get that off. And so now I'm going to make my loop for my ear wire. So what I did is came out one bead at the top of a Ginko, did my loop, and went back down through one of the 11/0 toe hose, and it just made it kind of hang nicely. So to get in position for that, I have to go up through this Ginko bead and up through just the first seed bead at the top. And I already forgot my count, so let me see what I did here. Okay, I did 5 pink, 4 gold, and then 5 pink on the downside. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up 5 pink, like that. 5 pink, 4 gold, 5 pink. And the reason I did this so long is I wanted to get my loop up and away from my little component here so it doesn't interfere with it. And also when you're making a loop, like I did an even number of seed beads in the middle where my ear wire is going to go. So if that makes sense. So the ear wire, sits really nicely right in the middle of the loop. And then I'm going to go back down through my third seed bead and go back down through the Ginko bead, just like that. And then I'm going to weave my way around to the bottom here where I added in another loop for the spike. So my loop looks like that, and I'm going to, it's kind of like reinforcing again. Go through my next seed bead. It's starting to be a little tight now. I probably should have put a number 12 beading needle on here for the earrings. For the components, I didn't go back around a couple more times like I did for these. It goes. The number 10 works, but 12 this is one of the places where a 12, the smallest size, would be good. And I'm just going to reinforce, just weave my way back through my path that I've taken through these beads all the way until I get down in position to make my bottom loop, okay, which is right here. It's the seed bead in between the side and the bottom Ginko leaf. So I'm going to pull that through. And here's where I decided to go. Let me show you where I am. Can you see where my thread is coming out? Here's where I decided to use a 15/0 seed bead just because this space here is so small, and also wanted a little bit of green in there. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green 15/0s, and then an 11/0 gold toho, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1. So, and then up the side, the other side, exactly the same. So let me pick up 5. I love these little beading trays. I always link these in my description box because for picking up smaller beads, these are amazing. So that's my bottom dangle, and I just need to make sure that I am going through the next seed bead in the right place. So I'm going clockwise. So I'm coming in from this way and going that way, and I'm going to get back around to where I have my first knot and just do another little overhand knot. And you know, sometimes, like on the earrings, not so much, but sometimes I'll even go for a little dot of GS Hypo Cement on, like, if I'm going to do these where they're going to be connected with jump rings. So my thread is just coming out here, so this sits exactly right. It's in the same spot as it is on this side, and I'm going to just weave my way, same thing, a little bit more reinforcing to get back over to my first, where my tail was and where I've already tied a couple knots. And just before I get around, just make sure everything is sitting the way that I want for my earring. They're a little dangly, which I love. I can see my first little group of knots, so I'm going to come out here and just tie off right on top of the ones that I've already done. Just make a loop. Just pull. And like I said, if you wanted to put a little GS Hypo Cement here, you totally could. But these are earrings. I don't think they're going to get a lot of stress on that, on this knot, on this component. Let's give that a tug. And these are ready for my ear wires. I made these ear wires in a video this week, and I'll put a link to that video if you would like to learn how to make some of your own ear wires. These are super easy, and you can change the look of them in so many different ways. I did these rather contemporary with big swooping hoops, and I didn't like kick the end out. But you can do a lot of variations on this with a simple bail making plier. And so my pair of earrings, they're so dangly and pretty. They are done. I love the little spike bead, and they're just gorgeous. So fun. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to save this thread and needle on here. I'm going to just put it to the back of my work mat because I have enough thread to do another component if I need it. And the other thing I'm going to do is grab some of my 20 gauge wire here, and I'm going to make a couple more components. I used my 2 1/4 millimeter one-step looper. I really love this tool when I'm making components because all my I effortlessly get all my loops the same. And I just need to decide, let me play a little bit before I connect, before I make more components, and decide how I want to do this. I also considered making an extender chain, not doing it the length that I need so that I could do it a bit shorter and add an extender chain. So let me play for a second. That little pattern gives me about a 6-inch bracelet. I need about a 7-inch, so I think that's going to work out just perfectly. So I just use my one-step looper. When there's no beads on the wire, you only need to go in past the back cutter of the tool and let it make the cut and the loop while it's in the tool. I like to take that opportunity to straighten my wire. And then I'm going to add a green bead and put it back in the tool. This time I'm using the guide hole because I have wire there. My bead is up near the front cutter or jaw of the plier. I'm controlling it here, it makes that cut for me. I can pull my bead down as I'm closing, and then I can watch to make sure I'm not damaging my bead, but also that my loop that I just made is centered on the other loop. It's perfect, but if it were misaligned, I can use another pair of pliers to, to straighten it out, and I get this really perfect little component. Okay, I am also going to take a piece of my wire and my bail making plier and make some jump rings. So I'm just going to put it on the tool and get a little coil started here. And just make a coil. I'm just going to come with my flush cutters on the flush side and just snip right where I started coiling all the way up this coil, one jump ring at a time. Yay, I have a little batch of anti-tarnish jump rings ready to go. So I'm going to connect my bracelet. I do not think that I'm going to need an extender chain because it's adding the jump rings is going to be add just about an inch or even a little more, and then I have to just choose a clasp. But I'll see what my length is before I get out a clasp, and I did find that I had to open my jump rings pretty wide to get in my beaded component, to get it in there. I got my length virtually perfect. I'm so excited about this. So let me grab a really pretty gold-plated lobster claw clasp. I just love these lobster claw clasps because they have the loop here that's got a swivel feature, and it's just really easy to put bracelets on and off with that feature. I'm just going to get out a little bit bigger jump ring for the other end of my bracelet. Just again, if a bracelet or any piece of jewelry is too difficult to clasp, I'll end up not wearing it. So a little bit larger jump ring for my lobster to grab onto will make this great. This is so pretty. And I really did get my length just right. And it is easy to clasp, and I just love the color story here. This is just such a pretty little bracelet. I do not have a charm on this bracelet, so maybe I need to dive back into the mixes here and come up with a little charm, and I already think that I see exactly what I want to do for a charm. So let me grab a ball head pin and let's make a charm for this bracelet. I have these fancy little head pins. I think that's going to be really pretty. One of my crystal rondelle spacers. What a pretty little charm. And I'm going to do a simple loop here. 90-degree bend, round nose pliers, over the top. This is such an easy way to do a simple loop. If you're struggling with simple loops, rotate your pliers. You start it the same way that you would a wrapped loop. Bring that wire around, center that loop, and you know what, at that point you've got like a really perfectly round loop, and it's centered on the beads. And then from here you could wrap, you could wrap around if you want, but I'm going to come right where the two wires meet and snip. And when I close that and work harden it, it is a virtually perfect little simple loop. And I'm going to grab another one of my jump rings, and I have a trick. Some of you have seen it. I have a connecting trick for charms that makes them so that they are never kinked or stuck, and this bracelet does not have an upside or a downside or a right or a left, which means I would pick it up in, you know, like I can pick it up this way to put it on or this way. And so I'm going to find a little spot, and I think it's going to be down here on this side, and I'm going to take my jump ring and put it over, open it wide, put it over the entire circumference of the bracelet, not through a loop. Let me get it in here and I'll show you. So over the entire circumference like that, and then I'll add my charm, and then let me close it and I'll show you what that accomplishes. So now my charm will never be kinked or stuck. It goes around the bracelet 360 degrees and it flows just freely. So there's not going to ever be like a right or a wrong with attaching this bracelet. The charm will always dangle. I absolutely love this. This is so me in Joey land. I have to say that I just love this little jewelry set. I love my pendant. Her little hat is set up. I love my bracelet and my earrings. I think this is such a refreshing take on jewelry of September and October. I just absolutely love this. I thank you so much for watching. Check my description box. There will be links to my needles, my beading thread, Softflex company, anything else that I've pulled in when I edit, anything else that I've pulled in that I think you might be interested in for your own work. The swivel feature lobster claw clasps, I will link those. And I just thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. And YouTube has a new update to the algorithm. You may see the opportunity to hype a video. If that pops up on my video, I would be so grateful if you do that. You're allowed to do it 3 times a week, and it basically tells the YouTube algorithm that there's quality content here and please show it to a wider audience. But also, even if you don't see that feature yet because it is a new update, please give my video a thumbs up. That would be so greatly appreciated. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't do anything to your YouTube account or anything at all, but it is a wonderful way to support my work. The more thumbs up a video gets, the more the algorithm will say, hey, we need to show this to more people. It's a good video. So I thank you so much for doing that. I hope you'll subscribe and tap the bell notification, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, everybody.